What is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another video for you guys. And as you saw yesterday, we described what a mess Tottenham are in when it comes to our club-trained players for the UEFA Europa League 25-man list. As it stands, depending on who Tottenham let go, if Spurs were to sell the likes of Troy Parrott and Oliver Skipp, then they wouldn't be able to complete a full squad unless they're signing club-trained players, or unless they can bring through club-trained players to make their squad. So we thought it would be a fun idea and a good idea to see every single club-trained player around Europe who maybe Spurs could sign, and see if we'd want them or not, and see who's available who would fit Tottenham's criteria as a club-trained player to fit in our Europa squad. To go through this, we've got Brian Daigle in the house. How are we doing, Brian? You looking forward to this?
Listen, we all need a bit of fun at times like this, and this one is most certainly going to be a lot of fun because I know the names on this list, and yeah, let's just get into this because it's going to be a lot of fun.
I wonder what kind of 11 this list would make, but let's but we'll get into it. We'll get into it. The first one is the most obvious one. Obviously, Marcus Edwards from Sporting Lisbon, a right winger, left Tottenham around 19 years of age. He left quite young. Has really made a career for himself out in Portugal. Now 25 years old, a good quality player. Still kind of doubts whether he's reaching his full potential, I would say. 8 goal contributions this season out in Portugal for a team that won the league again. Tottenham do obviously have a buyback clause. We'll have a clause on any future sales, which if you take that off a fee, would be about 25% off whatever fee we're looking to pay. So he's obviously one who is of interest at Tottenham. What's your view on potentially bringing Marcus Edwards back to Spurs?
Well, to start off with, when he was coming through, I was a huge fan of his, and I think a lot of people were. The headlines and the reports back on him were, this is a guy that's destined for success, and then obviously attitude issues came into play, and obviously he moved on. I believe he went to a Dutch league first, didn't he? And then he moved to Sporting Lisbon, if I remember correctly.
No, he was at a lower Portuguese team, Victorious or something.
My mistake. My mistake. So he looks like he's come of age. There still seems to be some doubts about his attitude, but there's no doubt in his technical ability, and when he's on form, he can be a very, very good player. Out of the list, I think he's probably one of the main ones that I could see would actually improve, or at least add quality to the squad.
When it comes to him, do you think there's a possibility if he comes back to Tottenham he could really fulfill his potential, or is he destined to just be a player around this kind of level where he's got flashes of brilliance but always leaves you wanting more?
I'm more on the latter. But I would hope under Ange and the way he plays football, Ange can maybe get the best out of him, like we saw what Pochettino did with certain players who got the best out of him. So I'm more on the latter, but I believe someone like Ange could actually be the perfect manager for him.
Okay, next up, we're looking at Southampton's very own Kyle Walker-Peters. He's also been quite strongly linked to Tottenham. Currently got at Southampton, they got promoted via the playoffs last season. He got in Championship Team of the Year, playing left back, 27 years of age now. Has had a stellar season in the Championship. Obviously, he can play right back, can play left back. He's actually quite a decent attacking fullback, but we did let him go back in 2020 because we didn't feel like he was good enough back then. Has he grown sufficiently for you, Brian, where you consider a return for Kyle Walker-Peters, or do you think he's not at the level?
For me, I loved him when he was at us, and it was always good to see a young player come through. But I think he's found his level. And that's no disrespect to him. He's been very, very good for Southampton. I think he was their player of the season as well when they went down, if I remember correctly. So obviously he's performing very well at Southampton's level. I just look at it as, if we're going to get a replacement for Porro, it needs to be of a higher quality than Kyle Walker-Peters. But then this whole topic is about how desperate we are for home coach players. So I can see the links being strong for this one, but I think we can do better. But if there's a need to get someone in, he could be very high up on the list.
When you're looking, if we're looking to compromise on certain positions for a club-trained player, wouldn't a backup fullback be one of the more favourable positions you'd want to kind of compromise on, rather than a more important position?
I guess you got a point there, but I think we know how important the fullbacks, wingbacks, whatever you want to call them under Ange's system, they are a pivotal part of our game. And if Porro is unavailable, or even Destiny, because obviously he can play both sides, you want someone in that can play that role. And yes, you are right. Walker-Peters is very good going forward, as is Porro. And obviously there's defensive frailties that he's been working very, very hard on. Porro, he's been incredible this season. I see where you're coming from, but I think in that thought, seeing that they are so pivotal to Ange, I would want a bit higher of quality. But if there is a position to sacrifice as well, there is weight to that, like you said as well.
Yeah, and the fact is he can play right back or left back, so he provides cover for both wing backs. Hopefully, we also sign a left-sided defender / a player. Maybe if, let's say, we sign a Calafiori, then you've got a player that you can play left back and left centre back, so you've got two positions covered there. So he's literally just going to be playing back up to Porro, and in Europa League games he's more than good enough for that. And I think he got in Championship Team of the Year. I actually thought he was quite good in the Premier League. I thought he was unlucky not to have earned another Premier League move. So I do think he's a Premier League standard player. Whether he's top 6 standard is up for debate, but having a backup fullback who we know can attack, I guess there are worse things. So I would strongly consider it if we do have to make a sacrifice somewhere. So I think if we can get a good deal for him, and if it meant saving a bit of money there, sacrificing a player in that position to get in Kyle Walker-Peters, I think he's better than Emerson as well. I think he's probably more suited than Emerson, in my opinion. So
I'll agree with.
On that basis, I would go for it if need be. All right, next up, we're going to be looking at a player who has had a very accomplished career since leaving Tottenham. Now he's at the tail end of his career. Who knows? Does he want one last dance at Spurs? We're looking at Kyle Walker of Man City. Would qualify, I guess, as club trained, having joined Tottenham at 18 years of age. Was at Tottenham for many, many years. Between 2009 and 2017, he was at Spurs. So has he been at Tottenham longer still than City? Or was he at City longer now? I'm trying to think. So 7 years he was at Spurs, and he joined City in 2017. So I think this season, so they're both 7 years now. So he's now been at City just as long as he's been at Tottenham. Wow, which is crazy to think about. He ain't getting any younger. Would he consider one last dance at Tottenham? Would City consider selling him? Should Tottenham go for a Kyle Walker? Would you want Kyle Walker if he was available at 34?
All day long. All day long, I would take. We were just speaking about quality. And like you said, at the end of his career, would he want to, if Man City are looking, if he was available at 34 years old, listen, his pace hasn't gone anywhere. He hasn't slowed down or anything. You want to get some players in with experience of winning the lot and knows what it is to be a Spurs player. Look no further than this man. And you've seen even with England, he can move into centre-back if need be as well. So you're talking about right back and left back. If there was any chance of getting Kyle Walker back, any chance, I would pursue it as quickly and as strongly as I could, because you're looking at backup or competition for Porro. My word, you've got it in that man.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Kyle Walker at Tottenham for just a season or two. Just give him a little contract, make him one of the vice captains, give him some responsibility, and maybe he can guide us. Obviously, it's never going to happen. I think City are probably going to keep him. Obviously, he was linked with Bayern heavily last year, wasn't he? He rejected it and ended up staying at City. I would love the thought of Kyle Walker making one last dance at Spurs, but I doubt it's ever going to happen. But it would help with the homegrown quotas. That would be good. I wouldn't mind Porro Walker right back. I mean, two of the best options you could get.
Exactly. The only other thing I say, obviously, this is tongue in cheek. We don't see it happening, but you also got to remember that he went back up north because he wanted to be closer to his family. So he went. That's the reason he left, as well as wanting to try and win things. Well, he's up north. He's winning things. I don't see him saying, "Well, I've had 7 years. Well, now I want to go back south, away from my family." But yeah, this is a dream I would love to come true, but I just don't see it happening in any way, size, shape, or form.
Kyle, won't you think of the homegrown quota, Kyle? Come on.
Please, come on.
Next up, we're going to be looking at also a player fairly unlikely to join, although the club he's at are struggling with PSR rules at the moment, so you never know. Maybe they're open to a cheeky sale, and that's Noni Madueke of Chelsea. Obviously, they signed him for, I believe, about 30 million. Was a hefty fee. Has probably, best to say, had a mixed time since he's gone to Chelsea. He's now been there 18 months, I think. Or did he sign last year? No, 18 months he's been there, hasn't he? And, well, I mean, he had a good end to last season. Did really well. Hasn't pulled up many trees. Obviously, there have been rumours that Chelsea might be forced to sell some players to accommodate PSR. Gallagher apparently was on the chopping block. He might be staying. But if Gallagher does stay, does it open up another possibility of a player leaving? And are they convinced of Madueke? If Tottenham were to put an offer on the table, would Chelsea consider a sale for Madueke?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, again, it's not old bull Chelsea deal with Tottenham and vice versa. I would love Madueke. I would love Madueke. I mean,
have you been impressed since he's gone to Chelsea? Have you been impressed?
It's not. Listen, nearer the end of the season, we saw Chelsea start clicking and start playing well. And I look back to the game at Stamford Bridge that we played with them. He tore us to shreds. And the thing I loved about him, compared to what we've got at the moment, is he is a player that is prepared to run at his marker, prepared to run past his man and get balls into the box. And that's something we really, really struggled with last season consistently. I think he's got the pace. I think he's got the power. And if a deal could be done, for this quota, I would try and get him done, because I think there's a lot to come from this kid. And I like what I've seen. Like you said, it's been very mixed, but that you can say that with every single Chelsea player, apart from Palmer. He is an avenue I would like to explore, because I think he can go on. I think he's what we're seeing at the end of last season. He's just going to kick on and kick on. So I would love to go for him if we were to pursue it.
Obviously, there's no obviously talk of him leaving. See, he has only joined 6 months ago. But I'm just thinking, like, if they are desperate to sell, if they really do need the money, I don't know if they've been that impressed by him, where if Tottenham were to put an offer in, would they be like, actually, no, he's been really good, we really believe in him? Or would they be like, actually, we could do with this 40 million, and we don't really believe that he's been that special anyway, and if we can use this 40 million and we can maybe spend it somewhere else. I'm not convinced by that, but I think obviously, no, look, I don't want to sound deluded. They do want to keep him. Obviously, I'm sure about that, and I'm sure they're not looking to sell him. I'm just thinking, if PSR is a serious issue and they do need to sell, and Gallagher's not going anywhere, maybe that leaves another space for someone else to leave. And maybe Tottenham could exploit that with Madueke. But would we want Madueke as well? Maybe. 23 appearances this season, 5 goals, 2 assists. I think a few of them coming late in the window, late in the season as well. I did think he had a really strong end to the season. I really do think he would fit our system quite well off the right wing. Him battling out with Brennan Johnson would be really exciting. Obviously, it's really unlikely to happen, but that would be an interesting prospect if we were to put a bid on the table for Madueke.
I think we've got to look at it as well, Simeon, as well with this. I mean, Chelsea and us both suffered last season with not having that out-and-out goal scorer that's going to give you 20 plus goals a season. And hopefully we will sign a striker. But if Spurs or Chelsea can get an established, recognised goal scorer, I think those goals and the goal assists would have been a lot higher from him. I think he may have suffered by Chelsea not having a recognised number 9. And if Tottenham could get one, and if it obviously, like you said, this is just, we're going through the list, we don't expect this to happen. But I think if you get a established number 9, whether he stays at Chelsea or if he came to Tottenham, I think he could be a real asset.
How much, if let's say I was going to ask you, let's test the waters on Chelsea for Madueke, what would your opening bid be? What do you think the opening bid should be?
What did they sign him for again?
30. I'm just looking now, 35 million euros. So about 30 million pounds.
I'll probably test the waters at the same, maybe around 30 mil, just because obviously they do need the money, don't they? So we know someone who loves to play these kind of games, so God knows what he would offer. But I would be around the 25, 30 million just to test the water.
I think give him 40 million. I'd see. Well, just to test it. All right. Next up, we're going to be looking at a central midfield player who has just been again promoted from the Championship, England international, Mr. Harry Winks, having a stellar career at Leicester this season. A lot has been talked about his resurgence. Obviously, Leicester have just been promoted back into the Premier League, and he's been a big part of it. Still only 28 years of age, made 45 appearances last season, scoring 2 goals, playing at the base of the midfield for Leicester. So yeah, 28. He actually has, where was it? He actually has 10 caps for England, which is quite surprising. That it's that many. We do need a number 6, don't we, Brian? He's got a good passing range. Would it be beyond the pale to consider bringing Harry Winks back to Tottenham?
Listen, I think most importantly, Harry Winks needed to break from Tottenham. Harry Winks' career was stagnating at Tottenham. Obviously, it split the fans' opinion of, was he good enough? Is he a Tottenham player? Harry Winks, for his own well and good and his own football career and happiness, needed to move away from Tottenham Hotspur, and he's done very, very well for Leicester. I've got a very good friend who's a Leicester fan who has really enjoyed watching him play, and I think he needs to stay at Leicester. If he comes back to Spurs, you can imagine the meltdown that will happen within this fan base. And
Brian, is there not an argument to say under Ange, it's more suited to how Winks would play, and maybe he'd be better under Ange than he would have been under a Mourinho or a Conte? Is there an argument for that?
I mean, listen, mate. Listen, there is an argument for that. Obviously, when a manager comes in, obviously every manager has a different style of playing. Is he more suited to an Ange Postecoglou way of playing football? Most probably, yes. Do I think this deal has any chance or would be appreciated or welcomed by Spurs? I don't think it will. I hope, and I'm not just saying this because I don't want Harry Winks. Harry Winks seems to be enjoying his football in Leicester. He seems to be enjoying his time up north. I hope and wish him every success in the future. I just don't see him coming back to Spurs in any way, size, shape or form.
Fair enough. No, I don't see it happening. And well, then again, Leicester just have their manager leaving Maresca. So if Tottenham were interested, I think maybe he'd be interested in wanting to come back to Spurs, but I don't think we are interested. But look, he's a good passer. I do think his way of playing would be a lot more suited to Ange, but whether we deem him good enough probably is another question, probably not. Next up is a player currently a free agent. Has been at our club for a while now, to be honest, and that's Danny Rose. We do need a backup left back, Brian. We do need a backup left back. He's very busy at the moment, doing various Spurs tours and talks at the moment, going on shows. Has been without a club, I believe, since Watford back in. Let me see when this was. Watford back in 2022, I think. So I think it's been now a couple of years since he's been without a club. Yep. But sign him on a free. We train him up. We get his fitness back up. We get Danny Rose back to his best. Still only 33. Some good player. There are some good players out. Danny Carvajal scoring a Champions League winner at 33. So life doesn't have to end at 33. Can we do with a backup left back of a 33-year-old Danny Rose?
No. Listen, I love Danny. I love Danny Rose and everything he did for Spurs. We all know that it didn't end very well for him at Tottenham Hotspur with a certain owner and whatever. There is absolutely no chance this happening. If we re-sign him, it just goes to show the banter club that we actually are. This shouldn't even. I mean, we're bringing it on the list because we're having some fun and jokes about who's available to fill this quota. This under no uncertain circumstances should happen. Not a chance.
What if we could get him back to his best? Is that possible?
No. Listen. Danny's stopped playing football for the last couple of years.
But he hasn't retired. He hasn't
No, he
retired.
hasn't retired. He hasn't retired. No, but listen, he had his peak, and when he was on his peak, he was exceptional. He was a incredible player to watch. But yeah, I don't think he's had the injuries that he's had. He can't get back to his best. As much as I'd love it, and yeah, this is just a no, 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 no.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Unfortunately, as much as I would love the romantic version of this transfer to happen, Danny Rose resigns. We get him on a fitness regime. Ange gets him back to his best, and he starts flying down the left wing again. I do think his time has probably been and gone, unfortunately, for for Danny Rose. Sorry. Next up, we're going to be talking about a player who has actually played under Ange before, so maybe a player that Ange knows very well. Tottenham were linked with him a few times, and that is Cameron Carter-Vickers of Celtic. Obviously, he's having a really good time of it at Celtic at the moment. There was actually suggestions when Ange came in that Tottenham might actually look at him because he was homegrown, and he's, I believe, was he captain of Celtic? I'm not sure if he's captain. Is he captain? Yeah, look. No, he's still 26 years old, has 16 caps for United States, could come in as a backup centre-back for us. Apparently, he is quite good on the ball, and obviously he knows Ange's system well. Is there any way Cameron Carter-Vickers could find a way back to Tottenham?
I doubt it. I doubt it. You're right. When Ange Postecoglou came, his name was heavily linked for obvious reasons. And certain managers, we know full well with Harry Redknapp when it came to Peter Crouch, Cranshaw, Defoe, certain managers go for players and keep bringing them to wherever they go. And you could see the links. He has done very well in Scotland. We need a left-sided centre-back. I can't remember if he's...
Sorry. Go on, yeah, we're back. You're back, yeah.
I don't know what happened there. I can't remember if Carter-Vickers is left-footed or not. I can't see this happening, but this is probably the one where, with all the rumours, this one's probably going to hold the most weight because of the Ange Postecoglou link, isn't it?
Yeah, and he'll know. He is right-footed, so he would probably rather play on the right side than the left side. Last season did only make 21 appearances in the Scottish League, but I don't know if he was injured or not. It looks like he was just left out of the squad for a lot of it, and he was injured. Yeah, again, it was one that was a bit rumoured when Ange first came, but I think rightly we probably went against it. I think he is probably a good centre-back, actually. I actually rate him higher than a lot of other people, but I think looking at our centre-backs of choice, I can't see him ever getting a look in, and I think I'd rather sign a Carl Walker-Peters than I would sign a Cameron Carter-Vickers, probably, if we're going for backups.
I'll be on that.
Next up, Nabil Bentaleb, currently plying his trade in Lille at the moment, has 50, quite impressive, 50 caps for Algeria, scoring 5 goals. Last season, played 26 games for Lille, so quite an important player for them. The season before that for Angers, played 33 games, scoring 4 goals, so was quite an impressive player for them. Still only 29 years of age, has gone and kind of built a career for himself, although there are suggestions that he does have very bad attitude problems, I've read, but which I think ruined his time at Schalke when he was in Germany. Could he fit one of the number 8 positions? Do we bring Nabil Bentaleb back to Tottenham?
Sure. Well, when it comes to Bentaleb and Ryan Mason, I actually give them a lot of respect, because if you think about it, when Mauricio Pochettino brought them in his first season, to rip up a midfield and put his faith in 2 youngsters and say, right, you're going to run the centre of midfield with Dembele, that's a huge ask. And Bentaleb has the assist for my favourite ever Harry Kane goal, that header in his first North London derby. But yeah, his attitude stinks. His attitude absolutely stinks. And he looked good and it looked promising when he was coming through. But to go on from other clubs, and yeah, listen, I think we have to stress as well, Simon, on this video, for anyone watching it, This is just us going through people because we need homegrown quota or squad train. This isn't us saying these are guys we want in. We need to stress that. You're right. We need strength in midfield. But if anyone can argue with me and say to me that Nabil Bentaleb brings quality to our midfield, if they can actually hold a solid argument going, yeah, he brings major quality, then I'll have that argument all day long. This will be a backward step.
I'm looking at his underlying metrics. They're not terrible. He's quite a good passer, quite good at the defensive metrics as well. But it does seem to not be the best at taking people on. He's not the best at tackling, it seems, as well. I mean, it seems he has a bit of give and take with Nabil Bentaleb, but at 29, I think they're going from Conor Gallagher to Nabil Bentaleb would probably be a bit of a downhill when it looks to our targets. But it's fun to think about. I think he's doing all right at the moment now in France, so good luck to him. I wish him all the best, Nabil. Yep. But I don't think a return to Tottenham is on the cards. Next up, we're going to be looking at a player currently playing for Birmingham in League One, and he's a little number 10, Alex Pritchard, if you remember. He's now 31 years of age. We are looking potentially for a backup number 10, seeing as Maddison gets injured a lot and Lo Celso might be leaving. Last season, he played 9 games and didn't score a goal, so maybe not his best season, I would say, for Alex Pritchard. I do remember when he was coming through the academy at Spurs, though, there was a lot of talk about him, wasn't there? And there's a lot of excitement about him. I remember he had that one season at Brentford back in 2014 where he had 47 games and scored 12 goals in the Championship. That was probably his best season of his career. Hasn't quite lived up since then, but maybe a move back to Tottenham, he can really start to fulfil his potential at 31 years of age.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, this like you said at the beginning of this, you did a video yesterday to show how much of a mess we are in because of the way we've acted, and this list of players just shows how bad it is. Because, like you just said, Gallagher to Bentaleb, where if you're looking at people like Eze and other number 8s, 10s we're looking at, and we go for League One, Alex Pritchard at 31. There should be riots. I mean, this is just this is just ridiculous. This is where we are.
Well, no, we're not actually looking at Pritchard. Just to make it clear, but us two.
Yeah, I know. But I'm saying the fact that we are talking about these players as a way to fill those voids, promote the youth. Apart from Walker Peters and Walker, so far, I would promote every single youth player in the positions we're talking about, rather than any of these. This is really quite a depressing list, isn't it?
Sorry, Alex. Brian doesn't want you anywhere near the club, unfortunately, it seems.
Yeah, just me.
It's just you. Look, I remember Alex Pritchard for Brentford scoring a great 25-yard free kick. He's got it in him. The boy has it in him. He just needs a chance. Has he done
it against him?
It was a great free kick back in 2015. It was back in 2015. It was a great shot. So I always hold that for him. Give him respect for that. Next up, a Premier League player, Adam Smith of Bournemouth. Did spend his youth time at Tottenham. Does still play regularly for Bournemouth, actually, to be fair to him. Does seem to be getting on a bit. Has always been a defender that he always seemed to be underestimated. Everyone thinks he's rubbish, and then you see him on the pitch and he can actually play a bit. But I've always thought defensively he's extremely suspect, to be honest. But he has been a Premier League player pretty much for most of the last decade with Bournemouth, playing quite a lot of games. Last season, 28 games he played. He is now 33 years of age, so not exactly a spring chicken. But is there any chance that Adam Smith could fill that backup right back to Porro?
With that, I'd rather Kyle Walker-Peters than Kyle Walker, obviously. But I must admit, I did enjoy watching Adam Smith at Bournemouth. He scored that cracker against Man City when they first came up, didn't he? He scored an absolute scorcher of a goal. I really enjoyed watching him in Bournemouth's first under Eddie Howe when they were. I really enjoyed watching him. I thought he was a very good attacking player that did beat his man. I really enjoyed watching him. But yeah, 33. Not happening.
Not happening. I agree. Another Bournemouth defender, Ryan Fredericks, signed for Bournemouth last season on a free transfer as former West Ham player as well. Did play, I think, how many appearances he played? Didn't play any appearances for Tottenham. Played at youth level between 2010 and 2015, so 5 years at youth level. He's actually quite tall for right back. He's 5'11". Again, has been a Premier League player now for the best part of the decade. 12 appearances last year for Bournemouth. Does have good pace, does Fredericks, but he's now 31. I do feel like his pace is starting to burn out a bit.
Yeah. I mean, don't know why, but I can remember seeing him at White Hart Lane. I don't know if he came on for a Europa game or I'm sure he may have made a couple of like sub appearances. I don't know why.
It says here, yes, he in 2011-12 he played 3 games in Europa League, and he did again in 2013. There
you go. So yeah, listen, again, a player that's gone on to multiple clubs, I believe, hasn't quite worked out. Yeah, I can't see us pursuing this again. It would be, I'd rather promote a youngster into that. But here we are at this list. Ryan Fredericks. Yeah, a lot of these obviously we're not going to even make it. Won't even be a mention because it's just what we're doing to say the homegrown players. But yeah, no chance.
Next up, Jake Livermore of Watford now, former West Brom captain, was at Tottenham for quite a few years at the beginning of his career. Let me just check that out. Jake Livermore. Last season he moved to Watford on a free. He was at Tottenham between 2008 and 2015 and 14, making 36 appearances. In the 11-12 season, he actually made 24 appearances in a Spurs shirt. Has been a steady Eddie, it's fair to say. He's now 34 years of age. Tottenham are looking for a number 6. Could Jake Livermore's experience head us in that direction? He's actually got 7 caps for England. 7.
Yeah. And I mean, I have to say, when it comes to Jake Livermore, obviously you and I and Ben had the pleasure of meeting him when I got my We Are Tottenham TV tattoo, because I make stupid bets on this channel. And we got to spend a lot of time with him. He stayed with us for quite a bit. One of the nicest guys I've ever met in football and in general. Spoke to us about a host of things, obviously his history and other things that were going on. A really, really nice guy. One of the nicest guys I've met, and loves the football club. He's now back in London. I just can't see us getting to him at 34 years old. I couldn't see it being it. But you know what? I've got a lot of time and respect for Jake Livermore, and I wish him nothing but the best for him and his family and the rest of his life. He's a genuine guy. But yeah, I think he'll see out his time at Watford.
Next up, we're looking at Josh Onomah on a free transfer now, 27 years of age. He's been out of work for about a year now, since leaving Preston North End. I always hark back to that under-19s European Championships he had when Dembele was saying he's going to be the next Dembele, and there's a lot of hype around him. I just think we should sign him back just so he can bid 3 million plus Onomah for Grealish again, just for banter. just I think it'll be great. I think it'll just be a lot of fun. I think it'll show Levy has a sense of humour at least.
Yeah, I mean, you said that in the back before we went started recording this, and I want that to happen just for that. Just for that, to show, like you said, that he's got a bit of sense of humour. I can remember there was huge hype around him, wasn't there? Huge hype. He went off to Fulham. He started off brightly there, then it kind of fizzled out. Listen, it's like Danny Rose, isn't it? Guy's got no club. I think that speaks volumes. But who knows the state we're in? We're trying to get these players in. Could it be one without a club that we try and pinch to say, right, that fills the quota?
Would you rather have Onomah or no one? That's the question, I guess. Rather get
Onomah or not Onomah? Jesus Christ.
Could Onomah have one more? Look, he is still only 27. You know, some players are late bloomers. Some players are late bloomers.
Do you know what, Simon? You really are sometimes the yin to my yang. You complete me. That really, if that's how we're going, yeah, then yeah, let's bring on Onomah in.
Next up, we have an international captain to look at, and that is Stephen Caulker, who's currently 32 years of age, plays his football at Malaga, FC Malaga City, which I'm not sure what division they are in. It says here they're in the Tequila Federation, previously known as the Tequila RFEF, is the 5th tier of Spanish football. It's tier number 5. So he is currently, I think he's player manager there. He's player manager at FC Malaga City. So definitely has experience at 32. And again, we need a backup centre back, and he's also captain of Sierra Leone national team. So we have an international captain ready and waiting right there as a club trained player. Was at Tottenham between 2006 and 2007 and 2013. So, you know, when you've got an international captain, you know, rating in the wings, would you be silly to turn your nose up at that kind of experience?
I'm amazed at how much of a straight face you kept while saying that sentence. Unbelievable. I was like, it's going to crack at some point. Yeah, the 5th tier of Spanish football. Player manager, international captain. You've probably put him on the shopping list of Daniel Levy for next manager in Sudan's league.
Also has a 100% goal scoring record for England. 1 cap, 1 goal. So the most clinical player to ever play for
Harry
England.
Kane, eat your heart out. Harry Kane, you're nothing, mate. You're nothing. Stephen Caulker is where it's at. Mate, could you imagine if this actually became an actual link? My God, yeah. International captain or no international captain, not a chance. Not a chance. Bring back Onomah. Onomah's becoming a very strong possibility for me now.
He has been quite the journeyman since leaving Tottenham, joining Cardiff, QPR, Dundee, and then Allianzspor, Fenerbahce, Gaziantep, Faith Karagümrük, then back to Wigan, and now at Malaga City.
You lived at Liverpool as well. I'm sure he ended up at Liverpool.
He was on loan at Liverpool back in 2016. He was on loan, played 3 games.
Yeah. I have to say, do you know what? When he moved to Cardiff, he was doing very, very well for Cardiff whilst they're in the Premier League. He looked like, at one point, it's like, oh, have we made a mistake here when he was at Cardiff? But yeah, like I said, quite the journeyman.
Well, you never know. Maybe Levy will be giving him the call. And last but not least, Andros Townsend of Luton Town. Now, to be fair to Andros, has done pretty well for Luton since signing for him on a free. I was actually quite impressed with him in the appearances he did make. He did obviously do really did give them their best shot of staying up. Unfortunately, didn't quite happen. Now 32 years of age, again has been a Premier League player for ever since being at Spurs. Never really happened for him at Spurs, but had a good career at Palace and Everton. Or was all right Everton before picking up some injuries. Last season, though, 27 appearances. He scored 1 goal. How many assists did Andros Townsend make? Let's see. Last season, 1 goal and 3 assists. So 4 goal contributions. 32 years of age. Is an England international. Was an injury away from going to the World Cup, but didn't quite happen. We need a backup right winger. Sorry, could he be back up to Brennan Johnson?
Out of all these players, if I had to say which one do you reckon will have the strongest link, it will be a toss-up between Kyle Walker-Peters and Andros Townsend. We don't know what's going to happen.
You reckon there's a genuine possibility of Townsend coming back?
I'm saying out of all the players we've gone through, if there were to be any links, I can see Andros Townsend maybe late in the window being a possibility. Not windows open, right? This is going to be, when we are looking for opportunities, Andros Townsend will definitely at some point, I think, be mentioned, whether it's genuine, whether it's ITKs, whether it's whatever. But I genuinely think there may be a link towards it. Do I want it? No. No, 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 no. But out of the list we've gone through, I can see that being a possibility. Not becoming an official signing, a possibility that the link will come.
I see. So we're a possibility of a link. So we're gearing up. We're getting prepared to be linked to Andros Townsend. Is that what we're saying?
I'm trying to work out if it's before monitoring the situation or after registering interest. Somewhere in between.
Lovely. All right, Brian. Well, those are all the club trained players that Tottenham could be looking at this summer, or have the possibility of looking at this summer if we do want to solve our club train problem. Let me know in the comment section below what players you would be going for. Let me know if I've missed anyone out, anyone obvious. I have missed someone out. I'm being an idiot. Of course I have. Of course I've missed someone out.
Go on.
I've missed someone massive out.
Go on.
We've got a buyback clause. You know, he's now going to be managed by Vincent Kompany. Maybe he'll be open to a return.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Harry Kane.
Definitely.
Harry Kane.
Yeah,
we need a striker. Harry Kane needs to come back to Tottenham. Put 100 million on the table. Say, look, get out. You don't want to be managed by Kompany. Come and play for Ange. You didn't win a trophy anyway. You know, it's not. You know, Alonso's going to dominate for the next decade. I think you best come back to Tottenham and be where you're loved. And I think we should sell it to him.
We could sell it till the cows come home, but he won't be coming back. He won't be. That would, mate. If we were able to pull that off, that would be like the absolute most incredible moment. But we know that's not going to happen. We were talking in the earlier update about Isaac and it costing enough money. Harry Kane is in another stratosphere. As much as we would love it, it ain't happening.
Just imagine Kane and Ange, though, would be something special. I think we've been imagining it all season, but unfortunately, we never got really to see it apart from that one friendly. We never got to see it. So absolute shame. But look, he did 4 goals, and he just left us like that, and that was it. But look, let us know in the comment section below if we missed anyone else out and who we could potentially look to sign as a club trained player. Let me know if any of these players, would you rather have a list of 21 than play any of these players? Let me know in the comment section below. But that's all we got time for today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.